Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Got a lot to get to today. Great basketball game. We got Jack Foster of Rocky Top Insider joining us at 2:20 to preview the Arkansas versus Tennessee Super Regionals matchup. I mean, we also have OTAs are wrapping up, and so minicamp starts up next week, but OTA, so we're going to be asking the big question, what rookie has the best chance to be a starter by year's end? And I think there's going to be quite a few rookies that may even fall into this, so we're going to talk about that. First, Blaine, in a must-win game in... I was about to say...
Oh, what? Somebody's birthday?
Is your first... well, you said last night or yesterday. This is a must-win game.
And they did.
And they won. Wow. And what's crazy is that with that 21-foot jumper with 0.3 seconds left, that was the first and only moment that the Indiana Pacers led that series. This is not sustainable. No. But Halliburton, who I guess you can maybe dub him the league's new Mr. Big Shot, that is his fourth moment in every series the Pacers have played in these playoffs. So this is the fourth time he's done it in all the series. April 29th, Indiana trailed Milwaukee 118-111 with 34.6 seconds left in overtime. Halliburton scored with 1.4 seconds remaining, and the Pacers won 119-118. May 6th, Indiana trailed Cleveland 119-112 with 48 seconds left and won 120-119. Halliburton got the game winner with 1.1 seconds left to play. May 21st, Indiana trailed the Knicks 121-112 with 51.1 seconds left in regulation. Halliburton sent it to overtime on a jumper with no time on the clock. Indiana won 138-135. Now this insane run that does not seem it can be sustainable, but every time we try to count out the Pacers in some form of fashion, they prove everybody wrong. And that is the stadium just went silent.
Yeah, that man. And they've done it.
Or the arena, I guess I should say.
It seems as though they've kind of done it a little. Didn't they still game one of the Knicks but I want to say they won game one on the road multiple times. If some about this team, man. And by the way, they still played horrible.
Right.
The Pacers, that is. Well, at least the first half with 19 turnovers. It's unbelievable. I said, they're only down by 11 or 12 or whatever it was at halftime, and they had 19 turnovers. I said, they are in this game. This is not good for OKC. So I was real interested to see how they responded. And, man, what a resilient bunch. And they've done it multiple times. And, you know, I think we don't want to believe it because it's the Indiana Pacers and because it's Halliburton and he's not a spectacular, off-the-charts, some type of athlete. There was times he disappeared in this game, and, you know, he kind of let his teammates get involved. But OKC's defense was smothering. I mean, smothering. With all those turnovers, they didn't take advantage of all of them, obviously. And they didn't make big shots when they needed to in clutch situation, timing, you know, of their shots. So I think that's where the Pacers got them. They just kept hanging around, and next thing you know, it's 8 and it's 5. And he's like, oh, man, they're going to be in this game. So I said must win. I probably they should be able to steal this game, and they stole that game. And I think you better start believing in the Pacers because this next game, we'll see, I got a couple days. Man, I'm stunned. That they got him like that at home.
Well, and one of the ways they got him was they out-rebounded the Thunder. The Pacers had 56 rebounds. 35. The Thunder had 39.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a big discrepancy for a team that's really not known for that post presence, and the Thunder is. That was one of the ways that we thought that they could win the game, right? Was that the Pacers, if they could have a presence underneath, get some rebounds and box out the Thunder, they would give themselves a chance, and I believe they did because of their rebounding. Pacers trailed by 9 with 2:52 to play. In play-by-play era, so since 1997, Teams were 0-121 in NBA Finals when trailing by 7+ points in the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter.
I'll go even deeper. 9 points or more behind 0-182.
Woo! That is insane.
I'm like, man, I think we got to start giving their props. As soon as we do that, they'll get smoked. But, I mean, it's just like, man, they went small ball lineup, and they spread and went 5 out, and they really started spreading the floor because that's how they kept getting the turnovers. So, and then they went deep into their bench. I mean, they went about 12 deep or so, and then popping. I mean, man, the guy come out with 18 points or whatever it was, and he had 2 turnovers initially. Most coaches would have taken him out. This is why I love Rick Carlisle, because he knows how to support athletes even when they fail at something or turn the ball over. He goes, nah, just keep playing, man. You got it. You got to get used to how they play defense out here because it is smothering. And next thing you know, boom, that kind of confidence supporting players leads to success. And they got it, man. And I'm still thinking OKC in 6, but boy, I definitely are.
It's a little bit of an eyebrow raiser, right? I mean, it's like, okay, maybe this could be a real series here.
Yeah.
Because all they had to do was steal 1 at home, and now, you got 1 more for the Thunder at home, then you could go 2 on the road to Indiana. And if you're even 1-1 in the series going into Indiana, Pacers fans are going to show out.
Oh, yeah. Well, Indiana loves ball, man. Yeah. Basketball. Boy, they're going to be crazy. I mean, I know they're going crazy now. So, and they're kind of the underdog. And so, all the pressure's on KC. And, they have Siakam, who's had some experience in the finals. So that kind of gives you the team a little bit of a calming spirit. But they still went out there and executed. They did not cave. There were times I just thought OKC was about to just put it out of reach, and then it was just going to be the Pacers shooting threes and just trying to get back into the game. It just never happened. They kept hanging around, man.
Something happened in that second half, right?
By the way, if the Pacers look back on this game, they know they didn't play very good. It's for sure in that first half. This builds confidence for them. And when you start getting confident in the final with pro athletes at this level, boy, that can be a super dangerous deal to OKC because, I mean, they're going to have to give their best. And guess what? The Pacers are going to believe. You gave us your best shot, and we still think we can get you. And that's what's going to happen in the game, and they won't wilt when the going gets tough. So, that's where I love the mental psyche, and them getting this game is, I think, stunning. I'm interested to see how OKC
especially
responds.
How it happened. But I mean, stunning regardless, but especially with 0.3 seconds left to go.
He did it with ease, though.
I know.
Halliburton.
It was so
easy. It was like, dang, he knew it was going. He waited for this moment. He only had 14 points.
I know. Isn't that insane?
Man.
Total turnovers for the Pacers were 25, 7 for the Thunder. Points conceded off turnovers, out of those 25 turnovers, they only conceded 11 points off of them.
That's why they went wrong. That's why.
And then four out of the points conceded out of those 7 turnovers for the Thunder. So a lot of turnovers, but not a lot of capitalizing off those turnovers, which allowed them to come in the game. The Pacers had 10 fast break points. The Thunder had 11. Points in the paint, 34 for the Pacers and 46 for Thunder. So even all those rebounds and everything, the Thunder still scored more in the paint. 22 fouls for the Pacers and 19 for Thunder. So you kind of look at all of this right here. If it not for the turnovers, I wonder if the Pacers would have won by more, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. They're going to look at
you
this
talk
game.
about only really needed to come in to correct one thing. For the next game, it's going to be the turnovers. If you play cleaner basketball for the Pacers, you got to be feeling pretty good about the confidence level. To your point, again, you won the game with 25 turnovers because you were able to mitigate the points conceded off those mistakes. So now if you just lessen the mistakes, this is a totally different game that we're watching.
Easier said than done, by the way. I mean, but in theory, when you look at the numbers, you go, well, dang, they didn't even play very good. Yeah. They won.
Yeah.
So this one here is, wow. It is now the pressure is on OKC. And can they rise? I mean, we all saw what, SGA could do. I mean, so that's pretty obvious. I think he needs to be a little more efficient. I think he was 14 for 30. I think he's got to learn to spread it around a little bit more. My man, what's the guy's name? Holmgren. Chet,
Holmgren.
Yeah, I think he has to play better and close out on some of those finishes inside. I think that would probably, if you want to be critical of any of the players, I think maybe him. But there were, they should have made timely 3-pointers. They had open shots to kind of pull away, and they just missed them, So you would think they're going to make those the next time.
Yeah, Lou Dort was really putting on some defensive pressure in that first half. And you really thought, watching that first half is like, oh, man, this is what everybody kind of predicted was like Thunder were going to run away with it. And then the Pacers, they won the third quarter, then they won the fourth quarter, and they won the whole game. And I don't know what adjustments or what they did inside that locker room. It's probably just a belief in each other. They had 6 players with 10-plus points. They had 5 with 14-plus points. Mm-hmm. So they played a real good sound of team game off of it because Obi Toppin came out off the bench with 17 points. Yeah. But, I mean, when you're talking about if you would have told me SGA had 38 points and Jalen Williams had 17 and they generated 25 turnovers, you would have thought it would have been a blowout.
Yeah. I saw Rick Carlisle in the interview. I watched it today, actually, and he said that at halftime, he says, hey, guys, we just need to settle down. If we don't do the turnovers, we have now figured out and gotten adjusted to how they play defense, which is smothering, by the way. We just got to take care of the ball, and this is our game. And he said it just like that. He says that their defense is special, but we can handle it.
Yep.
And man, when he said it like that, it was like, but I believe in y'all, so don't let each of you down. That's what that was saying.
Oklahoma City led by 15 early in the fourth when Carlisle called timeout and subbed out all 5 players.
See? That's what I'm
looking
saying.
for a spark. And it worked. The Pacers outscored the Thunder 15-4 over the next 3 minutes and 26 seconds.
Better give him his pride.
I mean, again, coaching by Rick Carlisle. I don't know who I'm sure they gave Coach of the Year to probably the Oklahoma City Thunder coach, I would assume. But I mean, like what he's doing in the playoffs, Rick Carlisle is pretty
Wasn't
special.
he the head coach of the Mavericks? This gives me a Dallas Mavericks when they beat the Heat. Wasn't he the? I remember
that sounds right. I'm going to look it up.
This is giving me a feel when the Mavericks, I think, beat the Heat, and we were all like,
yes.
I was stunned. I was
2011 NBA champion when he was with the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, he was the head coach. Yeah,
he's their head coach till 2021.
This is the vibe I'm feeling if this keeps going because I can say, oh no, the Heat gonna win. They're gonna win. It kept going. And I'm like, dang, I think Dallas is gonna get them. You don't want to believe it.
I mean, insane. Here's another one. Most game-tying or lead-taking shots with under 5 seconds left in the game in the playoffs since 1997. Tyrese Halliburton has played in 32 playoff games. He has 5 such shots. Wow. Then that's tied for third overall, by the way. Like Kobe, over 220 games, only has 4 of those kinds of shots. Mm-hmm. Over 292 playoff games, LeBron has 8, and he's actually tied with Reggie Miller, who got 5 over 144. So, I mean, he's in some pretty elite company right there. And it's just
clutch. He's
clutch.
Yeah.
Like, call him Mr. Big Shot if you want, because like that's huge. So huge for this team. And again, that brings some intrigue to Saturday's game. And I will say once again, if you're just a casual NBA fan and you haven't really been paying attention to this Pacers team or this Thunders team or even these playoffs, tune in. This has been a fantastic playoffs in general, but this has the chance to be some really fun chess match basketball. And I encourage everybody to tune in. And I kind of want to get into why maybe quality basketball over big market is the way to go for the NBA and these NBA finals to try to generate some interest and ratings. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
King and Associates Insurance in Brookwood stands out as independent agents, offering more than just a range of insurance options. They handpick the best companies, build strong relationships with industry leaders, and create customized bundling plans. And life throws you curveballs, and they get it. My friend and coworker switched from another independent agent and got superior coverage at their home with the contents inside, of course, their cars, and experienced clear communication, and had a true ally, especially after a 16-year-old daughter's accident, saving them thousands compared to their old, overpriced agent. And you could save even more by switching. And don't do it just because he did it or I did it or, whoever did it. Just make sure you do it because it's the best for your family and your business or your personal needs. And all you have to do is just call King and Associates at 615, of course, 321-8121. That's 321-8121. Or you can check them out online at tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Blaine, we've kind of talked about the subject here and there when we've been talking about these NBA playoffs and all that kind of stuff. And I've seen a lot of NBA people. I've seen a lot of, people on Twitter talk about, who is the face of the league? What's the next face of the NBA? With LeBron James exiting, Steph Curry, exiting these early round exits and all this kind of stuff. And you got the Oklahoma City Thunder. You have the Indiana Pacers, two of the top 10 smallest market teams in the NBA. I don't know if it matters anymore. I think you just need to be playing good basketball and let the storylines play out in the court instead of trying to manufacture something that probably doesn't exist in today's NBA, because I don't think you're going to find in a league where parity is starting to become more the norm in the NBA. I'm not sure you're going to have all these great rivalries that we're all used to seeing over the years, especially in the Michael Jordan era and even, the early LeBron and all that, these rivalries. I think in these playoffs, it's going to be about who are actually the best teams that play like a team that's not a superstar, like I guess you would say, dream team situation?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know. And the NBA has always been that way from, let's say, I'm going to go back to my time watching Dr. J, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, then transfer him to MJ, and then now LeBron, LeBron, Durant, and guys. So now they've kind of modeled their NBA by, superstars. So I think if a team that's a quality team but not necessarily has a superstar starts winning championships, I think then they will pivot and probably start advertising, more so teams than individuals. But there's always going to be an individual. Like, we see SGA, who's the MVP of the league, and you assume, he probably may get MVP of the finals. He still could get the NBA finals whether they win it or not. But the Pacers win, will we see more Siakam or Halliburton? I don't know if we will. I just don't know if we will have individuals that off of teams that win as a unit, which I like and prefer much more, but in smaller markets. So that'll be really interesting because SGA already has a couple commercials, and with one of them with his teammates,
right?
Which is a small market, but he also won MVP. But they didn't know that when they were doing the commercials. So it'll be interesting. You got Ant-Man, and I don't know if his off-court, personal life impacts that as some people would think. I don't know, but with social media, everything and everybody is actually media.
Right.
So you must be, as Diggs found out. I mean, so everybody is media because everybody has phones. So I just think it'll be interesting to see how they play this card. But I'm with you. I wish they would start, because I think everybody thinks in the NBA that you got to have the big three. That's kind of what they advertise, the big three, and then it's everybody else, which has worked, but that's not going to work for every team. So it'll be interesting because
you've seen LeBron try to duplicate that over
and
over.
Him and Durant, really, they can't do it. It hasn't worked. Let's say
right,
that.
Yeah.
I hope they get away from that, but at the same time, they have to market their league, and man, that's a tough pill to swallow. You must have superstars to market.
I think they got superstars, but they don't have it feels like because of today's society. Mm-hmm. Because look at the NFL, it's a lot more teams, or as far as players on teams, but it's filled with just what we all consider superstars. Like almost every team at least has.
But they only
almost.
market the NFL as the quarterbacks.
Right, so it's the quarterbacks. Here at the NBA, it feels like you have all these really good players, and everybody's like, they're not LeBron, or they're not Kobe. And I get that, but
Curry.
even LeBron James recently, who's dominated basically everything about the NBA for 2 decades, he's actually downplayed the importance of a line of succession. This is a quote from a column by Jerry Brewer at the Washington Post. He goes, quote, "Why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that cover and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis craps on everybody?" And I use a different word than crap. James wondered. To have that responsibility is just weird. It's weird energy. So he's downplaying the importance. I'm not sure that the NBA needs it, but I think that maybe I think they just need to let it come naturally. I don't think anybody needs to force it, and I don't think that us in the media, and I'm not saying that we do, but us in the media need to really complain that there's not one. Because I do think that right now we're getting a really interesting series matchup, and we've had
and a good brand of basketball, by the way.
Right. I mean, a great brand of basketball. We've had great conference finals, and it's been all without having those quote-unquote superstar faces. Because, I mean, even Luka went to the Lakers, exited the first round. I mean, they tried to build, a powerhouse, and maybe they shouldn't have drafted Dalton Connect. I don't know.
Don't talk about future face of the league, Dalton Connect.
Maybe he is. I mean, maybe that's where
maybe
they need
that's
to go.
the problem. They should have let that play out instead of trading for Luka.
Yeah.
See, and I think it was, and it's funny in sports. It doesn't always play out. But I learned this, and it's going to sound funny to you guys. I learned this in high school. Nobody was revered on our team in high school. There was no big time Division I prospect, including myself. We win state. So you know what that told me? You don't have to have the best players. You have to have the best team.
Right.
That always understands their role. And if you have enough talent and enough belief. And we're just talking about the high school level. But again, if you start elevating that to, okay, maybe I have one superstar, but then everybody else's role is defined and they're really good players and they relish their role and at times can be a big shot maker, whether they're in the post or a three-point shooter, long as they, they have different varieties, parts of their game. Like, they could be outside, inside. So you just wonder if that happens now. We could still say, OKC, well, they have a superstar. But I don't even know if I put Halliburton in the form of a superstar. Yeah. I could say he can make big shots. I could say timely shots to win games. But he doesn't take over games. He does it in a form of within the offense, I make sure I get everybody involved. And when I need to make a shot or when I want to go one-on-one, I will. I don't feel like he's a superstar. When he could say, I am in all facets of the game, because without him, the team wouldn't be who they are.
Well, Miles Turner was kind of asked about this, and his quote was, "It's a new blueprint for the league, man."
Yeah, I think I'm with it.
I mean, I am too. And I think that if more, I think to me as a casual NBA fan, I mean, I watch the Grizzlies a lot, but as a casual NBA fan as a whole, the reason why I've liked this so much is because it's new, it's different, and there isn't that dominating team. Well, I mean, Oklahoma City Thunder is kind of a dominating team, to be honest, but they're team ball.
Right.
Like, it's not just, and I get that it's SGA and everything, but to me, it's just like the way that they play doesn't feel like there's a superstar. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like it has to be fed through to LeBron James constantly or fed to one certain player all the time. It does feel like a couple of those that Dallas Mavericks series where both these teams kind of like the ball's going around everywhere. I
love the moving of the ball.
Right.
I mean, it's not just stand still, throw it to somebody in the post, and then you double it, and somebody shoots a three. So
then you got all these superstars, the faces of the league, and this comes from OG who put this into my head, but like he says Durant is trying to get traded again.
Yeah, to the Knicks.
So, like, he's chasing all this stuff, and I get it, but, like, it's hard to latch on to some of these teams because you have these superstars constantly changing teams. I mean, you need, and I think staying power would go a long way for the NBA. But, again, he's chasing something that maybe he doesn't need to be chasing and inserting him, a quote-unquote superstar, into a team like the Knicks probably won't work, to be honest with you, because the Knicks play a different brand of football that doesn't require a superstar.
I don't know if are we the ones supposed to be in the media?
Yeah.
Give the player the term superstar?
I think it just, that's why I'm just kind of like let it develop naturally, because I feel sometimes we force it, right? I mean, there's times where here, even in Tennessee, you feel like you're forced into something. Like, it feels like, oh, well, Jeffrey Simmons is the best player on the team now, so he's the face of the franchise. Like, I think you got to earn it. Like, he's the best player on the team, so he's a superstar. Well, is he a superstar? Like, and that's no slight to him. I'm just talking in generalities now. But, like, I've seen a lot of people talk about, it's like the term elite, right? I feel like the term elite has become so watered down by today's standards. Back in the day, the elite were the elite, and it was everybody else. And now it feels like everybody wants to try to call anybody that throws a 400-yard game or puts up 50 points in a game, that's an elite. That's an elite player. When really, I think that we got to come back down to earth and understand that I guess I would put it this way, is that I think superstar is just as watered down as elite now. And we got to get back to establishing meaning to those titles once again, if that makes sense. So, I mean, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's why I don't know the answer. I feel like we're giving guys titles before they actually have accomplished things. And then there's another criteria. Do they have to have championships to be a superstar? Like, I don't think you should.
I don't think you have to have that.
You can be an elite player.
I mean, because like Reggie Miller, right?
Right, he was, I think
Marino.
Yeah, right. We're going to Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can go down the road, but.
And then those guys are all superstars.
Right.
And sometimes you get labeled a superstar because you're the one doing it all by yourself. Sometimes you don't get that help.
Yeah. Well, then that's what the organization is up to do, and I think that's what Halliburton was suggesting, that he's grateful for the organization, for keeping those players all together like that, and then nobody really bickering. I mean, they go 12 deep, and you don't know who may rise up to the occasion. I mean, man, these guys are all quality players. Some of them I don't even know their names, and I go, man, I remember him. Yeah. Then all of a sudden he hadn't played in a couple games and goes out there and performs. So you got to hats off to the organization as well as the coaching staff, and tinkering. And Rick Carlisle, people are not talking about, but he's always been a really good coach, and we're getting to see it. I mean, we got Tom Thibodeau got fired. He went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean,
I've got two good points right here. This is from KC Jones on the F&M Bank chat, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, and I fully agree because I am a fantasy sport nerd. Fantasy sports have also heavily skewed our perspective on these superstars.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, elite or superstars doesn't automatically equate to fantasy stats. I think that is a very, very good point in this discussion.
So fantasy football or fantasy stats are the ones that ruin the game.
Us nerds, we've ruined the game, for sure.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah.
No, I didn't say that.
Jalen H says on the chat, people have a hard time calibrating their enthusiasm. And I think that's another thing. Everybody wants to think the best and the power of positivity. And sometimes that skews. And especially if you're a fan of a team and you don't watch every other team. Because if you're sometimes, because I've noticed this when I watch Red Zone. This is a couple of years ago. I was watching Red Zone. I came to this realization. I believe it was during the 2022 season. I was like, man, every other NFL team seems way faster than the Tennessee Titans. And the Tennessee Titans have good players on their team. Right. But it's like you look at some of these other players, and man, everybody's playing. They're playing faster, like smarter, recognizing. They're quicker, more athletic, and I'm like, holy crap. I was like, until you go and watch all these other teams, that really puts your team in perspective about who really is a superstar, who really is elite.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's where it gets a little lost as well.
Mm-hmm. But I think you're on point, though, the stats, because one thing happens, with the fantasy is you're cheering for an individual on the other team against the team that you cheer for to do well because you voted on him, or for him to do well because you think he's an elite player, at least in this game.
Here's how bad it doesn't
really bad.
It doesn't really help.
I think the fantasy does.
I try my best never to draft a Colt, Jaguar, or Texan. I just won't do it when I play fantasy football.
And been very hard.
I was hearing, was it
avoid the last few years?
Was it? What is it? Bucks and those guys show they were talking about like just the numbers and not maybe just the analytic numbers, but all the number matrix for quarterbacks. How Aaron Rodgers just is on par with Mason Rudolph and Fields, as well as Russell Wilson.
I tried telling everybody that.
But when you watch the game, I know it's stat grabbing. A lot of Aaron Rodgers, they were behind. I still believe he's better than all of them, though.
It will be interesting
even
to
at
see,
this point at 40, 41, or whatever he is.
Can he lean into his strengths and move away from his deficiencies? And can Arthur Smith help with that? Because, he can't do the bootlegs anymore. Right. And so, how does that affect the run game? So you got to make sure that when all this is going through for Aaron Rodgers in this next step, he's going to have to start adjusting his game, right? Because, we see the great ones kind of adjust their game in the NFL as they get older. When certain things fail, they rely on something else. And I'm interested to see what Aaron Rodgers is able to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because what I saw with the Jets was I'm not really feeling what I saw with the Jets. And that's why I didn't want him here, because it looked like he was on his last leg. What you got, Jackson?
Well, I didn't want him here just because his personality.
I feel like the Dallas Cowboys have robbed us of what would have been incredible content from Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens.
That is true.
Sharing an offensive meeting room.
Yeah, that was a fantasy grab. That would never have happened. Nope, they would. Jerry Jones and Aaron Rodgers. Imagine that.
No, he's talking about.
I'm saying they traded him to the Steelers.
Oh,
yeah, George Pickens went to the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, no, I couldn't hear you because of the mic. All I heard was the Cowboys, and we were talking about Aaron Rodgers. What'd you say?
I said I'm mad they traded George Pickens to the Cowboys, because it would have been incredible to watch him,
and
Aaron Rodgers, George Pickens, Aaron Rodgers, and DK Metcalf interact.
Aaron Rodgers would have got benched.
Yep.
Because they would have been fussing at him, and he wouldn't have liked that.
He would have benched himself.
Yeah, it would have been bad.
Here's a quote from Miles Turner to go back to the NBA just real quick. The years of the super teams and stacking talent is not as effective as it once was. Since I've been in the league, this NBA is very trendy. It just shifts. But the new trend now is just what we're doing. OKC does the same thing. The young guys get out and run, defend, and use the power of friendship. I like that last part. But, I mean, they do. They get out, run, and defend. How many times have we talked about this NBA and the lack of defense up until maybe these last few years? Defense has started circling back, and that's been a major turning point for the NBA and for some of these teams. Because, I mean, back in the day, there'd be some superstars or some team that's making the playoffs, and everybody's like complaining because all they do is shoot. Nobody plays defense. What happened to the sport that I love? Well, the sport that you love is coming back. You got to start getting back on the NBA train.
Yeah, OKC is number one in defense.
Right.
And the Pacers, that was their Achilles heel last season, is they were up and down with defense. And then this year, they've kind of turned it up to being a good, solid defense. So, yeah, defense is back live and kicking. But, man, they show shooting them threes. Curry just ruined the game.
You know, every NBA team is valued over $3 billion. I think they're not hurting for money or ratings right now over at the NBA.
Oh, man, that's a Jackson money right there, man. I see you. That's the UT money they gave you?
No, it's a T-shirt.
I don't know. If the dynasty era may not be over yet, because I could see OKC kind of turning into maybe a couple, multi-year champions and everything.
How are we going to start talking about dynasty and they haven't even won one?
Well, that's true. I'm just saying, if it's over, it could be.
But see, this is what happens, though.
Yeah.
I mean, so before we even can start talking about dynasties, talking about who's a superstar, really, they got to claim that they've done something.
Yeah.
Like at a high level with all the elite.
I'll do this.
You think?
You
think?
Let's pave the way. Let's be that show.
Oh, no.
You don't want to be that show?
Yeah, I'm going to do whatever you want to do.
No, I like it. Let's be that show.
Jackson just don't want to participate.
No, he wants to believe in future MVP, Dalton Connect, and all these guys.
That's my agenda. My agenda is Dalton Connect, future face of the NBA.
You know, I'm a big fan of Dalton Connect now. I'm thoroughly disappointed how he's been utilized. And I think when he was playing, he showed that he does deserve that right.
Yeah. I think that maybe they need to quit listening to general manager LeBron
Here's
James.
what I propose. If the Pacers lose some players after the season, Dalton Connect would fit perfectly with the Indiana Pacers. And watch him flourish. Watch him flourish.
Love it. I would also be all right with Dalton Connect coming to Memphis.
No.
Come on. All right.
Ja won't share the ball.
Power of friendship died on this radio show just now. All right, this is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. I just want to go through a couple of AFC South headlines here real quick, Blaine, with you. I want to start with this. The handling of Travis Hunter down in Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know if you know what their practice routine is with him, but they're doing one day of practice with the offense, the next day of practice with the defense, and he's spending time in both meeting rooms every day. What do you think about that approach for Travis Hunter? I mean, is that a sustainable way to do it? Because it feels like he would have a hard time building the necessary on-field chemistry if that's how they continue to do it the rest of the offseason.
The season starts, but as far as now, I think you're trying to build the foundation of the chemistry that you're talking about, the play calling, making sure you're in the right place at the right time and all that stuff. So I think this is the time to do all of that. It'll be just interesting. That's going to be real hard during the season.
When would you start having him maybe focus one way or the other on one of those? I mean, would it be sometime in training camp? Because you would think that, I guess, with mandatory minicamp spinning and coming up on the horizon, they would continue to do it. Would you think you would dial back one way or the other at training camp, or would you wait till maybe preseason starts and see how preseason preparation and all that goes, and then choose from there?
Well, I think they've already hinted that they want to play him on both sides of the ball. I mean, what
do you think about that decision?
A lot. I just think I would spot play him on defense if it was me, but what do I know? I haven't seen him up close and personal and watched him. Worried about his durability, to be honest, the way he's built. So that would be, just imagine him, tackling Derrick Henry.
All those snaps eventually have to catch up with you at some point.
I know it's hard to say spot play when you're spot playing defense, but if you bring him in and just make him say, hey, play outside, then he can study one opponent, kind of maybe didn't even have to practice a lot doing it, maybe just on third down day for the defense. And I kind of would slowly go there and just see what his impact could be. I would have him on offense, move him all over the place. That's what I would do. But a lot of people think he's going to be one of the best defensive backs to ever play in the league. So when you start saying stuff like that, you start saying, ooh, if he can, then I'm going to try to split it up evenly.
Goes back to our little superstar conversation, right? That's a lot to put on a kid that hasn't played both ways in the NFL.
Yeah, I think, that the pounding that takes. Who was the last person to actually do that? I know Woodson did it.
Troy, there's a guy for the Patriots, right? Troy Brown, was that his name for the Patriots?
Well, yeah, Troy, but he was a receiver for a long period of time. Then
he went to D.
He did.
I can't think of someone that maybe started off right away that has been someone recent. I don't think Edelman did right away. I think he was kind of like the same thing as Troy Brown. I think he started on one side of the ball, then switched to the other.
Edelman didn't play defense.
Did he not?
No.
Am I making that up?
No, I don't think so. Edelman didn't play defense. Not that I can recall. It's only been guys like Deion Sanders. I mean, like these big names, Charles Woodson. It's been a feat that it's hard to really conquer for a long period of time. That's why you kind of have to spot play on one side of the ball. Edelman, I never recall. He may have done it temporarily.
Man, I thought for sure he did.
You guys remember?
No, he was a punt returner, quarterback in
Maybe that's what
college.
I'm thinking of. I don't know why I thought he.
Yeah, but yeah.
I thought he played defensive back, but apparently, according to Pro Football Reference, he never did. I thought for sure he did.
Nah, he never did.
So, not Julian Edelman, but in some spot work, Troy Brown.
That's a
early
thanks for listening to the show.
Patriots did play some safety when they were thin at the position.
Yeah, he did, but that's when they were thin, and he hadn't played it for a while. But yeah, we mentioned him; he did.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
But you don't see Charles Woodson, Deion Sanders, or anybody else on that list.
No, not consistently.
Right. There. I don't think there wasn't. So that's what I'm saying. They act like he's gonna. But he's going to play a lot on both sides of the ball, and I'm like, ooh, that's a.
I mean, even when you talk about a guy like a Dory Jackson, that didn't really count, right? I mean,
I know they did in preseason with was it Michael Griffin? No, he was playing corner and safety. That's why I said this is a feat that's really, since back in the old days, when some guys were going both ways. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember when they tried to do Devin Hester as a wide receiver.
Yes.
That would be pretty close.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. They did. Because he was fast. Wow. Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame as a returner.
So, to your point, by the way, so let me do this. So, when I'm going through right now, I just Googled NFL's top two-way players. And I don't know when this is from, but they gave us the top two-way players. They have Mike Vrabel on here. They have J.J. Watt on here.
He played temporary.
Terry Poe is on here. Like that. But that, to your point, is what they're kind of talking. What you're kind of talking about is that this hasn't been done in a while. Of course, Troy Brown is on here.
But all those guys were not even like two-way players. We can use Mike Vrabel. He was just in the goal line.
Exactly.
And that's like a fun thing. And that's like two plays, every 5 games or something. I mean, like.
Okay, well, this right here says Julian Edelman got a fumble return for 22 yards for a touchdown against the Jets in Week 12 as a notable defensive play. So apparently he did play defense.
He says a notable defensive play.
Yeah. He primary plays wide receiver, but has made an impact with the Patriots on special teams and defense. Edelman has played 91 defensive snaps, recorded 13 tackles, a quarterback hit. I don't know when this whole article was written. I knew he played defense at some point.
Go pull up his. All you gotta do is pull up his stats and see how many plays he played on defense.
But at some point, they say that he just played 91 snaps. But at that point, again, I think he was mainly a wide receiver and kind of like the situation where he had a spot play.
Like I think someone got injured and he started playing like nickel or something, just like Troy Brown did, and he kind of segued into that and helping the team out until the guy got back. He act like he's going to play both sides of the ball. And they've affirmed that basically how they talk. The GM and everybody's been talking. So I don't know what's the strategy for that. I wouldn't have him playing both ways. I'd spot play him on one side of the ball and then play him on the other side.
Yeah, because I don't know. Again, I go back to how they're handling his practice reps. And it feels like you don't let a guy settle in at a certain point. And I don't know how long they're going to extend it, but if their idea, their idea from the get-go is that he's going to play both sides, if that's their idea, then he's going to have to continue splitting the reps at some point every other day. And it kind of feels like you're setting yourself up to be a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Yeah, and that's what would be my concern. I want him to, when you go back and watch him, even on defense, there's some things. He has the traits, but he has to fine-tune it. But on offense, man, when he had the ball in his hand, he was dynamic. He was special. I really like what I saw, and I was like, I wouldn't want to mess that up. That seemed that it came easy to him. Defensively, even the guy that we drafted here with the Titans, Alec Manor, that's his name. Yeah, he dominated Hunter, and he's gonna face dudes like that every week.
Kyle Williams, the New England Patriots wide receiver, dominated him as well. They had a good back and forth.
Right, Washington State. Mm-hmm. Yes, I think he needs to really pay attention to the details on defense, which he looked in the backfield too much for me. Now, that's a trait that you can fix, but to me, that's telling me he's a playmaker. And you can get away with that in college, but he's a playmaker because he's really an offensive player. He always has to have his eyes on the quarterback. And that will ruin you if you're a defensive back, corner especially.
I was trying to see who they played to make this sort of same comparison that he's playing, because they don't play the Ravens here. But what Casey Jones is saying, and you said it a little bit earlier, he added something to it. He says, imagine him, Travis Hunter, trying to tackle Derrick Henry, which you said. Yeah. But then he gets popped by Cal Hamilton in the course of 10 minutes in a game.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And add that up in almost every game. And it's just kind of insane that maybe, just maybe, that I think that when we were talking about this whole year, this whole draft cycle, playing him both sides probably is not the most ideal situation. And you're probably not going. There's a good chance that they could ruin this kid and because they are listening
But
to what
he
he
wants to. Yeah, exactly.
That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think I would be like,
Got
we
to
have
put
a
a
plan.
governor on a kid.
That's what I said. We can't even come up with names of guys who consistently did any of this.
Yeah.
I mean, even the greats are in Hall of Fames.
Right.
We can't even say that they play both ways. I mean, this one here,
It's hard to do.
people have
in
no
today's
idea the
NFL.
physicality from college to pro. It can't. It's just. I mean, man, I don't know how the heck he would make it through an entire season, starting on both sides of the ball. Starting.
Yeah.
Now, spot playing, I think there's a possibility. I mean, and watch this now. If people gonna go at this dude real hard, now, y'all go on out there, and then I'm gonna seek you out, and I'm gonna run right over you.
And he's really got to work on his route running too. Because right now
They
it's
don't
not
understand,
good.
man. People, they like, oh, who? Oh, man. Let me wait till we get out here. It's a different level of. I don't even know if I could really explain the collision courses that you're going to have in a game and the impact it has on you compared to college. It is almost as much desperation when you hit and you crash into another car. That's happening every single time with your body, and they won't. It's never say die type hit. It's just it's different. Just the recovery alone on Monday and Tuesday after a Sunday afternoon game never felt like that. I never was in the training room in college. I was in the training room every single Monday just to make sure I could get my body back to peak performance on the next Sunday. It's impossible. It's almost impossible. Like it's like I'm sitting here. First person I think of is Deion during the era, and I caught the end of his career, and I'm going, I don't know how the heck he did that. And he was only spot playing on offense, and I'm talking about 10 plays maybe.
Yeah.
When he was with the Redskins, and he played receiver. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, the physicality. I don't know if he can do it, but I'm going to be watching.
It'll be interesting to see.
I'll be tuning in.
We'll have 2 games a year of him, so we'll see.
We're going to see him live and up in person.
That's true. Rookies that could steal starting jobs on the Tennessee Titans roster. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
2:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Jackson Williams. The NBA Finals got things started in a big way last night as the Pacers take Game 1 on the road against the Thunder, 111-110. Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton hit a last-second shot to give Indiana the win in regulation. Game 2 set for Sunday, tip-off at 7 p.m. In Titans news, the team announced today that they have reached agreement with fourth-round pick wide receiver Chimere Dike. He is the 8th player of the 9-member 2025 draft class to sign his rookie deal. Tennessee baseball headed to Fayetteville for Super Regional play. The Vols in Arkansas start their series tomorrow with a 5 p.m. first pitch. You can hear that game right here on The Zone. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Jack Foster to talk about Tennessee versus Arkansas. The hate that Tony Vitello is getting from die-hard old-school baseball fans and all that kind of stuff. We'll get into all of that as well. Yeah. All right. The Tennessee Titans... What rookies, besides obviously Cam Ward, and you know what? I'm going to eliminate Femi Oladejo here too.
Whoa, wait, that's your guy.
Oh, that's my guy, but I think that he has a
that's
very
your guy.
easy
You said you don't see success brewing.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But I think that on this particular roster, he has a very easy path to be a starter. But what are some of the rookies that you think could possibly, by the end of the year, supplant one of the starters? So I look at it, and I think there's a lot of opportunity, obviously, for Gunnar Helm. Because that's where my first instinct, since they've drafted him, I've kind of thought that Gunnar Helm, sooner rather than later, will be the guy that is going to overtake and be tight end one. I really do think, because obviously Luke Stalker, even this week, when he was interviewed, said, we're not looking for niche players. We need players that can do it all at this position. Mm-hmm. Gunnar Helm can do it all at this position, and because we've seen him do it. You know, Josh Wiley, we've seen him sometimes be able to do it, but he's inconsistent. Chig is really only a pass-catching tight end at this point. We've seen enough that maybe he can improve his blocking, but that seems to be a point of emphasis for him every offseason. If he could just improve his, blocking, he'd be a great all-around tight end. So I'm really putting my weight behind Gunnar Helm overtaking one of these vets that are on the roster to be tight end one.
Oh, well, since that's yours, I got to go opposite of you. Let's see. Who else do I have? Other draft picks?
Yeah.
To start?
Undrafted free agents, too.
Oh, no. Undrafted free agents should be starting on the team. They're bad, but that shouldn't happen. I'm going to go with the Stanford wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think he's got a shot. You said before the season's up, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with him.
Yeah, I think Manor is a great one, right? I mean, obviously, Van Jefferson, you've been to OTAs and all this stuff, and you said that Van Jefferson's looked really good.
Yeah, well, I appreciate route runners, and that's what he is, and he's polished, and he actually showed a little more speed to me. Actually, Manor actually impressed me a lot, too. He had number 5. I don't know why I was thinking he was going to be a double-digit number, but like 14, what was he in college? 13. So, when I kept like, who's that vet they got? Then I got to, and see, my mind was telling me I thought he was a vet based off what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how he mixes into the lineup. It will be interesting to see on the outside where he'll be.
Yeah, I think that he will be in a heavy rotation. I really do think all these, for the most part, we're talking Tyler Lockett, Calvin Ridley, Van Jefferson, Alec Manor, and Chimere Dike. I think all 5 of those guys we're going to see a heavy rotation of. They may not get the targets,
Right.
Some of these guys may not be getting a lot of targets, but they're going to be in the rotation. Because I can see Chimere Dike also being a guy that sees a lot on the field. I don't know if he's going to overtake a vet spot, but because I'm with you, I kind of view Io Manor as a guy that could probably take the vet spot because he, from all, not just your account, but also a lot of accounts, that he looks the most polished, most surprising player out of this group, and that matters. Now, we'll see what, when the pads come on, how that translates. But I could see both of these guys getting considerable snaps.
Has Winston been? I didn't see Winston.
He's been out there, but he's, I think, been on the side.
It's not like he's still, because he's still. They want to make sure wait till training at last minute so he can recover from the ACL. Yeah.
And that's a guy that I'd almost take a long dart throw on to think that he maybe could start. But I think that they're just going to play it safe unless an major injury concerns. Like, I think Kevin Winston's your starter next year, way more to the point than he is this year.
Well, there's always a possibility, but, you got Mike Brown, who, is a young up-and-coming player with the veterans who's going to start, because Hooker always missed some games. We just got it is what it is. So then that may put Winston there immediately to be able to get in there, whether it's a backup role. And we all know, well, at least, once you're backup, then and you're dressing, then your potential of playing is highly likely. So I think you're probably right about that, because he's just super talented for the position, especially for his size, man. Wow, he could actually be really special. Just looking at the film of 1 year, and that was really a year ago. Man, outside of last year, which he didn't play very much, man, he could be, I won't speak too soon, but he could be pretty good.
I mean, if he had not gotten injured, you're probably talking about safety 1, safety 2 conversation kind of player that you got in the third round. Now, that kind of brings me to a point, just going back to the Rand Carthon draft class last year. It seems to be 2 pretty good draft classes back to back here. Rand Carthon's last year, Mike Bergonzi's this year. Obviously, we haven't seen Mike Bergonzi's play this year, so that we'll see. But that is a good way to kind of rebound from the disasters of Isaiah Wilson to all the way up to maybe the 2023 draft, is stacking good draft classes, because you're talking about J.C. Latham.
Remind me who was in the year before.
Okay, so last year was J.C. Latham.
Oh, okay. He was good.
Jarvis Brownlee Jr.
Okay. Well, that was 5th. So what happened to the second? Where's those guys? Did we not have a second and a third round? 4th round?
Well, I just Jarvis Brownlee Jr. was the best of the.
But they were the best too. Yeah, no doubt.
We got Cedric Gray. We'll see what Cedric Gray turns into. James Williams in the 6th. James Williams was the 7th, and then Jalen Harrell was also in the 7th. Then you have Jaquan Jackson in the 6th. What you got, Jackson? Sweat was the 2nd round pick.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
he definitely.
So if you got 3 out of those right there, and then we'll see what Cedric Gray or James Williams does, because they're both fighting for that other inside linebacker spot. That's 4 spots right there. That's a pretty good draft class, and then you'll see what this draft class does by the end of the year. So I look at it and I go, okay, I mean, this is a rebound, because, I mean, you could say the 2023 draft class, you got Peter Skoronski, who started turning it on late last year, but that's a slow start. You traded up for Will Levis. We see how that's ending up. Tyjae Spears can't stay healthy, even though I really like Tyjae Spears. Like, that other draft class, not so great, but if you can at least stack 2 back-to-back draft classes where you're getting a 50% or maybe a little bit higher hit rate, that's about normal in the NFL.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask you. I always get conflicted on what's a successful draft class. Like, how much are you supposed to hit?
It's like anywhere from 55 to 60, 55 to 65.
But for first rounders, you're supposed to do what?
Well, for first rounders, you're supposed to be 100%. But that hardly ever but that hardly ever happens.
Well, that's what, to me, what ruined JR. That right there. We can just Farley and we could just
Farley, Isaiah Wilson, Traylon Burks.
Right. See, and that
we could go down the list.
That is not 100.
That is a generational bad run.
And that will push your organization, because those players are supposed to impact the entire team, because they are special freak of the nature type athletes. And if you miss, man, they can put you back. And it has. They're chasing that tackle still today.
Yeah, so even if Skoronski does
go
pan
sign somebody
out,
for $20 million.
if Skoronski pans out, then you would have got, 2 of 2 for Rand Carthon. Because you would have got him and J.C. Latham, which you hope that they both pan out.
I want to love Skoronski, but I think he's just going to be a really good starting guard.
Hey, listen.
I don't see Pro Bowl
For the Titans,
nowhere.
they need it.
Hey, that would be their best first-round pick almost in the last 5 years.
But the bar was low there,
That
Jackson.
is true.
You got to keep the bar high. Don't lower it to these peon standards.
Hey, do you want to roll through the 2020 through 2022 draft class?
Oh, you're going to make my rib hurt.
We're going to start in 2020. We're going to just go
Isaac
in order.
Bruce, know,
Because you're right. First round misses or first round hits can make up for later round misses.
Yeah.
But my gosh, let me read you this list. Isaiah Wilson. Christian Fulton, not bad for a second round pick. You would have liked to have seen him get his second contract, but Christian Fulton. Darrington Evans.
Why you waited till the Alabama guy?
No, he's Appalachian State.
Oh, Appalachian State. Oh, okay, right, the running back. I was thinking Evans, Rashad Evans.
Yeah. Laurel Murchison,
Oh.
Cole McDonald, and Chris Jackson.
Chris Jackson, for a late round pick, he did okay.
And then now that was 2020, so let's go to 2021.
Why are you trying to depress me for my weekend?
Yeah. Well, that makes the weekend so much better when you're like, oh, man, you know what? I ended on a down note. Everything will taste so much sweeter.
Nope. You're going to drive me to drinking the wrong things.
Caleb Farley.
Oh, my gosh.
Dylan Radins, who rebounded a little bit for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
But then Monty Rice. Elijah Molden, who has gotten a second contract with the Chargers. So that wasn't too bad.
He did.
Des Fitzpatrick, Rashad Weaver, Racy McMath, Brady Breeze. You know what all these guys so far have had in common? None of them are on the Tennessee Titans. Okay, next up. The last draft class of John Robinson.
Oh,
Traylon Burks. Oof. Roger McCreary. Hey, we got one. We got a real good one right there. NPF. Malik Willis, Hassan Haskins, Chiga Okonkwo, Kyle Phillips, Theo Jackson, and Chance Campbell.
Wow. But now he's doing a great job on TV, I hear.
Oh, there is no, I haven't watched it.
I heard he's on
There is no way he's doing a good job.
I know Jackson knows this.
I will say it is not the questions that I would like to ask John Robinson.
Yeah, he's not getting asked any of the tough questions.
They're staying away from the Titans completely.
And here's the thing.
Oh, that's the whole point. They got to lean into that.
Yeah.
The Titans and everywhere he's been, Tampa Bay, New England, all of them.
But here's the thing. Okay.
Cowardice.
So you get asked. I'm sure John Robinson gets asked, and he says, okay, I'll come on the show, but you can't ask me anything about the Tennessee Titans.
He said, okay, bye.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say if I was the NFL network, I'd say, okay, well, then there's no point in having you on.
Yeah.
Because you're an ex-GM and you don't have that great of a personality to be on
Here's where then the athletes get mad because they go, oh, when we get on there, they say, you got to know, you got to talk about the dudes you just played against.
Yeah.
Now, the last year, are you going to be able to do that? So why can't they say that to the GM?
I'm with you.
Huh?
I feel
there's a double standard. And I'm a big don't double standard.
Yeah.
Me, no.
I am with you.
I'm like, well, we got to ask him tough questions too.
No, nobody's going to ask him anything.
Oh.
I mean, insane.
Oh, man.
Insane that they will not ask him anything or aren't allowed. And then they chose to still bring him on. Why? Is there not another GM you could have brought on or an ex-player on Good Morning Football that you could have brought on? You could have brought on Blaine.
Yeah, I don't want to do any of that stuff.
You don't want to wake up that early and do it?
No.
You don't want to fly to New York?
Nah, see, all of that. Nope.
Nope.
To be a substitute teacher? Are you kidding me? Man, please, you better go somewhere with that.
It'd be some ratings, though. They wouldn't know what to do with you because you would be putting up so much knowledge on them that they wouldn't even know what to do.
No.
Because it's a great show for what it is, but they're not a show that is built around actual football. It's built around dry erase boards
They
and
have
stuff.
fun. They have fun,
Yeah,
though.
they have fun.
They have fun.
They wouldn't know what to do with you. All right, when we come back, we'll be joined by Jack Foster of Rocky Top Insider to talk all things Tennessee baseball. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here at 104.5 The Zone.
Guys, if something is holding you back from performing at your best, it's time to do something about it with Performance Enhancement Treatment Packages from Edge Peptide. Whether in the gym or on the course, with Edge Peptide and hormone therapy, you can show up stronger, feel better, and recover faster, and stay in the game longer, ladies. And get to boost your energy, too, as well. Build some lean muscle mass and heal from those nagging injuries. And as an athlete myself, I know how those injuries can affect your game. So if you're struggling with joint pain, suffering from a recent injury, or looking to recover faster after surgery, Edge has you covered. From peptide packages to PRP, stem cells, and high-film muscle stimulation, Edge is your exclusive Nashville area peptide specialist. So don't wait till summer to feel your best. And don't trust your health to some online pharmacy. And remember, at Edge, your consultation fee is of $250. It will be waived with your initial order. So all you have to do is just go to edgepeptide.com. Yes, that's edgepeptide.com, or call them at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We have Super Regionals this weekend as the Tennessee Volunteers face off against the Arkansas Razorbacks. And so we're bringing in our Rocky Top baseball expert of Rocky Top Insider. We got Jack Foster on the phone. And Jack, we got to start off, though, with a little bit of football. Because as a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, because you followed your teen heartthrob Trevor Lawrence there, I have to ask, how do you feel about how they're handling the Travis Hunter practice reps, splitting them up day by day between offense and defense on the field, but doing both classrooms every day?
Yeah, I don't mind it as much. I'm honestly a little surprised. I thought the focus for Travis Hunter in Jacksonville would primarily be offense. And by primarily, I mean like 70, 80%, just kind of based on what had been said early on in the process and just my overall hunch. I just figured Hunter would be a lot more offense than defense, and that certainly could end up happening once the season gets here. But it seems like they're making a concerted effort to, split it pretty down the middle. So I don't mind it. I think, Hunter did so successfully at Colorado, so I think he is capable in the NFL. And also, when you look at the big picture of things with Jacksonville, the secondary has been very bad for years, and it's certainly one of the weaker parts of this team. And I'm of the belief that Travis Hunter is better than the average corner than he is better the average wideout. So I honestly like the fact that he is getting plenty of work on defense as well.
Tennessee is 2-10. Tony Vitello's Tennessee is 2-10 versus Arkansas in baseball. Yeah. What's different about this Tennessee team now compared to when it played at Arkansas just 3 weeks ago?
I don't know if much is different about this Tennessee team. I think that we saw Tennessee's baseball's offense turn a corner, starting with that series in Fayetteville. If you recall back to those first two games, Tennessee just looked like an entirely different team offensively. And since then, for the most part, the offense has stayed on a roll, really in a great rhythm here in the postseason. So that to me is different, but it really felt like that was when the corner got turned for Tennessee offensively. But not much is different, and I thought Tennessee played well in Fayetteville outside of that Game 3. Tennessee's just got to have a better plan for that Game 3 if it does go to it. But I think as long as Liam Doyle is good, which is he wasn't in Fayetteville last time, that was such an outlier for Doyle's season that Tennessee could be in a pretty good spot this weekend if all things go well with the starting pitching.
What can Tennessee take away from that Arkansas series 3 weeks ago to put it into practice this week to maybe change their fortune against this Arkansas team?
Yeah, I think, as I just said, the big reason Tennessee wasn't able to win that series is because such a rare Liam Doyle dud. Tennessee won the game with Marcus Phillips on the mound. I think that could be repeated this weekend. And if Doyle's great, you got to like Tennessee's chances. My fear would be if this series goes to a Game 3, you have to like Arkansas's chances. So that's where I'm going to take this question here. It's, what can Tennessee do differently to put themselves in a better position in a Game 3 setting? It feels like Tony Vitello and his coaching staff has lost a lot of trust in freshman Tegan Coons, who was the usual Game 3 starter throughout the season. That hasn't been the case, at least it wasn't in the regional. It didn't even pitch, and Tennessee played 36 innings in the Knoxville Regional. Very surprising development there. So Tennessee is going to have a solid plan. I don't think you can roll the dice and try to save an A.J. Russell or a Brandon Arvidsson, who are Tennessee's top two bullpen arms right now. You've got to try and win games 1 and 2 at all costs. So that Game 3 pitching plan is what is really the huge question mark, if it's even going to be necessary. I think you look at a potential Dylan Loy opener role again. If Russell can throw, you certainly want to start him. But to me, that's the biggest question mark and something that Tennessee would need to have a good plan for if this series goes 3 games.
Why do you think Tegan Coons has fallen, maybe have lost a little bit of faith from this staff? I mean, he was a guy that, had a couple of strikeouts, good games strung together. I know that he wasn't a great starter, but don't you think that they may need him this series?
They could. I don't know if, these guys such as a Braden Krenzel, Tanner Franklin, Dylan Loy, who I mentioned a little bit earlier, if those guys are good, I don't really know if they'll need him. They can just kind of piece it together with a bullpen game and a Game 3 if necessary. But, yeah, it's tough to say. I know Tony Vitello had the comments after Tegan's start against Vanderbilt and Hoover, in which Tennessee lost that game 10-0. It's like, hey, he's just not pitching with a lot of conviction, especially with his breaking ball right now. And that's kind of Coons' thing. He's just got a lot of filth to his breaking ball. When that thing is working, he's really, really good. But it's just been very inconsistent. And I just wonder if, Tony thinks that if Tony just trusts other guys in bigger moments right now, maybe Coons is just not able to rise to these occasions. I haven't, I don't know specifically as to why the reason Coons didn't pitch, but I just know that Tony has said a couple of times that Coons' pitches have lacked conviction in moments, and he's certainly underwhelmed in a big moment there in Hoover. So we'll see what shakes this weekend, but I would not be surprised at all if Coons does not pitch again, because I don't know if Tennessee will quite need him to, and if they do, it's probably, as a desperation play, and that's if they don't start him, because, that seems to be kind of out the window at this point.
We're on the phone with Jack Foster of Rocky Top Insider, talking all things Volunteers baseball.
Well, Jack, you saw in the matchup earlier against Arkansas how Tennessee played, but where are the holes for Arkansas, and can they, I guess, take advantage of those, you think?
Yeah, so the Arkansas team is very good offensive team, so that is what they excel in, but starting pitching has been a little bit up in the air over the course of the last month. In fact, Arkansas changed its starting pitching rotation ahead of that Tennessee series, starting a guy who hadn't started a game all year in Game 3. Aiden Jimenez is his name. He started Game 1 of the Fayetteville Regional because it was a much easier opponent in North Dakota State. Arkansas threw a weaker starter and then saved their ace for Game 2. So I think you have Zach Root in Game 1, Gage Wood in Game 2. Those are been Arkansas's main two starting pitchers. Game 3, a little bit up in the air, and they have some good bullpen arms. Beidel, Shees, Gakeley. There's guys you look to, McIntyre. But I think if there's one area Tennessee can get Arkansas, it's against its arms and having a good offensive weekend. Last thing I'll add here is that Tennessee saw Arkansas's ace really well in Fayetteville last time. That Game 1, Tennessee scored 8 runs and hit Zach Root pretty well. So if they can replicate that, that'll be, of course, very good news for the Vols.
Do you think this is the best matchup in a super regional, or if one of whoever wins, probably, be the favorite to win it all?
Yeah, I think it's a slam dunk that this is the best super regional as far as entertainment goes, talent on the field. There's some other good ones, but it doesn't feel like any quite compare to this one. As far as, if the winner is the favorite, Arkansas, of course, would be, because they are now. If Tennessee wins, it's a little trickier. I don't know if LSU would be ahead of Tennessee in the odds, but it'd be hard-pressed to pick against Tennessee if the Vols can go on the road and beat, the top team left in Arkansas in Fayetteville, one of the more hostile environments in the sport. I certainly wouldn't pick against Tennessee, or I wouldn't rather pick another team over Tennessee if that is the case going to the College World Series. So, yeah, I actually said this earlier in the week. If, you're making me bet, I'm going to say the winner of the 2025 Men's College World Series is the winner of the Fayetteville Super Regional.
Ooh, calling it out. I don't know if they have announced who's the starting pitcher, but tell me, who do you think is going to start and why that should be the starting pitcher and what the strategy is behind that decision?
Yeah, so it's a little different this week because Cannon Peebles is suspended for the first game of the Super Regional.
Oh.
And, of course, Liam Doyle has only thrown to Cannon Peebles all year long. Stone Lawless is going to have to start at catcher in Game 1. Stone Lawless started about 7 SEC games, I think, this year. So he was in a role where he was starting Game 2s of series for like 60 to 70% of the season until in the home stretch, Tennessee just kind of rode Peebles all 3 games in series. That being said, Marcus Phillips, Stone Lawless, ton of familiarity there. It makes a lot of sense to start Phillips in Game 1 with Lawless behind the plate, also giving Doyle an extra day of rest because he, of course, pitched 31 pitches in Game 7 of the Knoxville Regional on Monday. Will Tony Vitello do this? I don't know. I thought he'd change things up for the regional and start Phillips against the weaker Miami of Ohio. That wasn't the case. And then Tony Vitello was actually asked about this in his midweek press conference. He said the whole catcher thing doesn't matter as much because, of course, there's plenty of reps of Liam throwing to Stone in practice. But if you're just asking me, to me it makes more sense for Phillips to start Game 1. But Tony is just kind of stuck with, the way things have gone. He doesn't like to change things up a lot. So I actually don't think it'll end up happening, but I believe it would be the right decision to start Phillips in Game 1.
There you have it, Jack Foster from Rocky Top Insider.
With Liam Doyle, at that game where he's, shaking off the dugout on Monday and all that kind of stuff. I mean, a lot has been made, at least, from the talking heads in sports media about Tony Vitello's personality, his team's personality. And I know there was a great article on ESPN that you actually shared today, but Ryan McGee wrote it for ESPN about Tony Vitello getting Tennessee baseball on top. And I look at it and I go, I really like how he approaches building the locker room, and I understand why it turns people off. What are your thoughts on the personality that he brings to the team, but then talk about what the leaders bring to the locker room?
Yeah, I think Tennessee baseball has an excellent culture. I am pro the way Vitello does things. Sure, there's a lot of fire. Sure, it can rub people the wrong way sometimes, but there's so much passion and emotion in the way Tennessee plays that, of course, rubs off on its players. And you've had guys like Drew Gilbert in the past, Liam Doyle and Andrew Fisher this year, who just have that energy. And, say what you will about Tony Vitello, but I think he is a very genuine person. I think back to some things he's done, how he's always treated people with respect as far as the media goes. I know there's been, of course, multiple altercations with umpires, but, the fans, the media, he's always been really good to us. And, you look across the league at Tim Corbin asking a female reporter, have you ever played playoff baseball? You have Kevin O'Sullivan in Florida cussing out grounds crew in Conway Regional because of a silly 1 hour time change that he knew about the night prior. There's just some other areas of disrespect you see from coaches that I've never seen from Tony Vitello. So while, yes, he coaches in an unconventional way sometimes, I do think he is a genuine person. And you're just talking about the way Tennessee approaches things. I think it's great for the sport. Look, it's given us something to talk about, right? And college baseball is a growing sport. And I think if Tennessee baseball is the villain or the bad guy, then that is amazing for just the growth of the game and the interest from fans who maybe don't watch a lot of college baseball. It provides something compelling to this whole thing. So I think it's great across the board. And while, it's unconventional and it's not always in the lines, as Ryan McGee puts it in his article, it's certainly entertaining.
Okay, what were your expectations coming into the season about Tennessee baseball? How did they change during the season? And would a loss this weekend meet those expectations, or would they not live up to the expectations?
I came into the season thinking that Tennessee baseball was going to be a College World Series contender yet again. Did not think they'd set records like in 24, but I figured they'd be a team atop the sport. And look what happened. They started 20-0, and it's like, okay, Tennessee, here we go again. A juggernaut of a team. And then you end the back half of SEC play really poorly with a whimper, and it's like, okay, is this team even going to be Omaha bound? Can it host and win a regional? It checks that box after two really nice games in Hoover, and now it has the Fayetteville Super Regional staring itself in the face. If Tennessee loses this weekend, I think overall it's a disappointment if Tennessee doesn't make it to Omaha year in, year out, and it's not really that fair because of how difficult it is. But that's just the nature of this program now. It's the nature of a lot of these top SEC programs, such as LSU, Florida, Vanderbilt. But overall, with Tennessee having to go on the road, like if we're living in the present, Tennessee is on the road against one of the best teams in the country in a hostile environment. And the fact that Tennessee was able to kind of turn things around at the right time in Hoover and win a regional has been impressive. So if we're living in the present, it's not going to be disappointing if Tennessee loses the Super. But if you told me, hey, it's February 10th, it's like, hey, Tennessee had to go on the road for a Super Regional and then, they don't make it to Omaha. That's a little bit of a disappointment because you would expect Tennessee at this point and with the talent they had this year to be a little bit better, to certainly finish the SEC season better. But, you have to give them credit. You can never count out the postseason balls, and they're getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, they're getting hot, Jack. But, man, I just don't know. how much I would believe that they're going to be consistent because they've been such a roller coaster ride. What makes you believe that they can now be consistent and go on this run?
Yeah, it's really just the offense coming alive, which I think gives them a much higher floor. It's Brandon Arvidsson completely becoming, turning his season around and becoming a top bullpen arm out of nowhere. No one saw that outing against Texas. In Hoover coming, follows it up with another 100-plus pitch quality relief outing in the Knoxville Regional. And also, Tennessee, the ugliest part of its game all year long has been defensive mistakes and just shooting yourself in the foot time and time again. Those are happening less. Sure, there was some ugly Dean Curley plays last weekend, but really beyond that, it's not happening as much. I feel like Tennessee is playing more fundamentally sound baseball, which is, improving its chances every game, of course, and Tennessee definitely can't afford to do those kinds of things this weekend. So that's what gives me a little more confidence. It's the cut down on silly errors. It's the much better offense, and it's the emergence of Brandon Arvidsson and really A.J. Russell finding his groove for the first time since Tommy John. It feels like those two guys are going to continue rolling here as the top two bullpen guys.
So I just want clarity. You said Tennessee in 2 back-to-back wins to win the series.
Yeah, I'll take it. I don't feel too confident, but I'll say Tennessee can win this thing in 2. Marcus beat them last time, and I'm never betting against Tennessee when 12's on the mound in orange. So I'll take the Vols in 2, but I'll add if it goes 3, I'm taking Arkansas. I just do not trust Tennessee in a Game 3 setting right now, but I say the Vols can get out of there in 2. Why not?
Oh, man, that would be big. That would be big because it doesn't feel like they've done that in a long time. You got Jackson clapping behind the glass.
God. He was clapping for Trevor Lawrence. That's what he was doing.
Just real quick, last night, Tennessee baseball received its 3rd commitment from the transfer portal Thursday afternoon when Kennesaw State sophomore Bo Rudy, right-handed pitcher, announced his commitment to the Vols on social media. All 3 transfers so far who have committed to the Volunteers have been pitchers. But talk about Rudy a little bit and give our listeners a little bit of preview of what maybe they can expect from the CUSA all-first team.
Yeah, it's interesting. Tennessee gets another relief pitcher from Kennesaw State. So Tanner Franklin, of course, being last year, it feels like there may be a little bit of a pipeline brewing here between Tennessee and Kennesaw State. But, Rudy's a guy who has really solid stats. He can... he strikes out a lot of batters, and I think he's going to be a solid piece for this bullpen next year. He's a big dude, 6'4", 225. I think he's a really talented player, and, of course, getting coached by Frank Anderson, the best is yet to come probably for him.
Awesome. I have to add to this. Okay. So guys are transferring, and their season isn't up. What are the rules and the guidelines for baseball in the transfer portal, or do we need to know that? Because obviously you can transfer during the season.
Well, it's similar to basketball, right? Like,
okay.
Coaches are having to deal with the portal during the postseason.
Oh, man, that's tough sledding there, man. Do you think they need to change the rules there or no?
I mean, yeah, I think they should. I don't think portals should be open in any sports postseason, but, I'm obviously not the one making decisions, and I assume it would be tough to find the right time, especially with how close the draft is. I'm not really sure what the solution is, but, yeah, the fact that Tennessee always has to recruit while it's playing in the postseason is kind of unfortunate. There's been stories about Elander going up to visit guys in the Northeast, and Tennessee's, playing a super regional, or getting ready to. It's just a difficult haul for these coaches to recruit like this out the portal in the postseason, but the nature of the beast.
Gotcha.
All right, Jack, we're going to give you a little, you can change your mind later, but early prediction for the Jaguars-Titans football series this year. We're predicting right now 2-0 Tennessee Titans. What are you predicting?
All right. I mean, I think a Jag sweep is more likely than a Titan sweep. If I was to put money on it, I'd say they split. But I'll say a Jag sweep is much more likely than a Titan sweep.
Okay, I got one more question. Okay,
right.
We were told earlier this week that Jackson earned the nickname at Tennessee flag football of white chocolate. Can you confirm this? He doesn't. He's never heard you called this.
No, Jack didn't play with us.
Because
No.
we're trying. Can you fact check this since you're in Knoxville? Could you maybe fact check this for us?
Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll make some calls. All right, I'll make some calls. I'll try to see if I can confirm this. But this is funny. We'll definitely be talking about this in the group chat afterward. I promise you that.
All right. That's Jack Foster of Rocky Top Insider. We appreciate you joining us today.
All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. When we come back, we're going to wrap up our Tennessee baseball talk, give our final predictions, talk about this ESPN article. I'm going to read you guys a few quotes that I found interesting. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when someone tells you it'll be ready at 4 p.m. and it's not. People are really tired of that stuff. So if you've had it with the unreliable vehicle repair shops, come on over to Eurofix. And Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable. And Eurofix will have your vehicle ready when it's really ready so you don't have to stand around waiting all freaking day. And Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer and without the dealer pricing. And that's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of the dealership's overhead. And as you know, that's a lot of money. Moolah, by the way. So why would you want to pay for that? Well, at Eurofix, reliable also means 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And make sure you call ahead as loaner cars are very, very, very popular. So if you're tired of the unreliable repair shops, come on over to Reliable, and that'll be Eurofix, family owned for 26 years. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine, sir.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. And let's go around the room here real quick. Ross, if you want to get in, you can get in if you want. If Tennessee were to do what Jack was uneasily predicting that they would do, which is win 2 in a row against Arkansas. Doesn't that change how you feel about this Tennessee heading into Omaha? Because it would for me. I would view this team entirely different heading into Omaha. And maybe that would be fool's gold on my end to buy something that I've only seen done once here lately. But to go two straight against Arkansas, man, that would be something. We'll start with Jackson.
I would be surprised, and I would look at the field in Omaha before really raising expectations, but I would be very confident heading into Omaha that Tony Vitello had a good shot to repeat if they were to go 2-0.
Yeah. I mean, what about you, Blaine? I mean, obviously, I think he makes a good point waiting for the tournament bracket.
It definitely would give you a lot of confidence, and they would probably be the best team left, right? So they'd be ranked up there. But baseball is a funny deal, though, so you got to see if you can duplicate that time and time again. They have the pitch and they have the arm, so it's always really defense in the areas there and the bat. So they can do that for a period of time. How many wins would they have to get after? Let's say they swept Arkansas to get and win the College World Series. Do we know?
I believe it's 4. That's how many it was last year.
4. So 4. Yeah, I think they could pull it off. I would definitely be thinking that they would win it.
Yeah.
Yep. The pressure would be on them, though. How do they handle it?
But can Tennessee also win the Jello Shot Championship if they make it to Omaha?
Hey, that's where we're going back to back, everybody.
Yeah. There's a bar there in Omaha that does Jello shots, and they keep up with how much the fan bases buy and all the Jello shots and everything. They put them up on the thing.
On the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
They set the record last year.
Yeah,
Tennessee
set the record last year, so they got big shoes to fill. Jackson, did you go last year?
I wish I had a solitary Jello shot from my home.
Just one?
Just one. Just to feel a part of it.
I mean, that's not even enough.
Too much sugar in those things, bud.
Oh, man. You can get sugar-free Jello if you need it.
But, sugar, it's okay.
Y'all ever had a Jello shot hangover? Those are the worst.
I don't know, because I usually drink other things with the Jello shot, so I don't know. I've never had an only Jello shot night.
It's like a multiplier.
Yeah. I've never had just Jello shots all night.
I've had grape jelly. That's what Ross is eating over there.
Ross is enjoying a snack.
All right. But speaking of Tennessee and Tony Vitello, there was a great article up. I referenced it a little earlier with Jack Foster by Ryan McGee over on ESPN.com. Tony Vitello got Tennessee baseball on Rocky Top, but can he do it again? And it really talks about, who he is and how he's gotten here. And they go through his list of accomplishments and how he's a very likable guy and all this kind of stuff. And you would think, the article goes on to say, you would think make a man nationally beloved. Instead, Vitello is a Tennessee Orange Jack, splitting the college baseball community's feelings about him as a very clean line between love and loathe. Those who do not care for him point to what they believe is a disregard for those sacred baseball guardrails. Those who applaud him don't see a man bent on baseball disregard. They see a border-bending maverick. First off, great word usage throughout that right there. Where do you stand on what Tony Vitello is to the game of college baseball or to the game of baseball itself?
I don't watch it enough to even have a stand. I have no idea. I really don't. Yeah, I mean, I think he's proven that he's turned around on Tennessee's program. So, dang, he got to be one heck of a coach now. If you like his style or not, that's your own personal preference. That's the way he operates, and it's worked for him. So, I mean, hey, that's all I could say really about it.
Well, there's some quotes from him in here that I'd like to get your thoughts on.
He can get a little brash and out there a little bit, but, hey, man, it breeds confidence in what he likes to do. I mean, and his players do too.
Here's a quote from him that I thought was interesting. I think you don't know where the line is until you cross it. and then you make an adjustment, said Vitello, who's nearing the end of his 8th season in Knoxville. I don't want our guys, if they gave them a coloring book, I don't want them just coloring inside the lines. Come up with something different. What do you think about that? Because, he's approaching this from it's a team, but he's approaching basically saying to me, how I interpret that is like promoting individuality inside a team. And then saying, okay, well, if you kind of cross the line here, well, we'll see if that's where the new line starts or if we need to, get back in line, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I like the opposite for me personally if I was a coach. I want to have the line and then you cross it and see if it's worth it. Maybe that's somewhat the same, worth crossing the line, but I'd rather have the lines because to me they need guidance at this point in time. You got to show sportsmanship, but at the same time you got to play with confidence. So, but he likes the cocky, talking crap type dudes. Hey man, that's all for you. Guess what? I like busting those dudes in the mouth.
Yeah,
see, that's my style. Like, hey, don't do the talking. Let your actions do the talking.
He did talk about this, and I thought this was interesting. He'd rather have our guys and coaching staff push the limits for what competing is under the realm of what we think, not what someone else thinks. He's really sounds like he's, a couple of weeks ago we had that Vandy fan call in and say that, it looks like, Tony Vitello has lost the locker room.
No, I don't believe that.
But it sounds like to me he's building just a very, very unique culture, right? Maybe this is a guy that's building something that will be studied by other coaches for their locker room, a new blueprint, so to speak. Kind of like what we talked about with Miles Turner said about the new blueprint of the NBA. Maybe this is the new trend on how to handle the NIL.
I don't know. What do you think?
I kind of think that's where it's going here because he's a guy that can be relatable. He's not too far old, right? He's 46 and he's, big into quoting movies. He's big into baseball and all this kind of stuff. Like obviously stuff that probably relates to the young men that are coming through, but he's found a way to relate, to allow individual personalities and being a little individual, but they all are playing for each other. Like he's built a team of not necessarily individuals and me guys. They're us guys, but they're us guys in each and every their own way. And I think that allowing these kids to maybe be who they are looks to be breeding success and still being able to breed teamwork without losing a locker room. Because in these kinds of situations, when you bring in big personalities, sometimes you do threaten to lose that us mentality.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So, yeah, but that's what he prefers, though. I don't know if that's a new blueprint. I think other people have done it. So I just think a lot of people in baseball just don't like it. I think in that then you become the villain.
Yeah. Well, what don't y'all call yourselves the villains?
The villains, yep.
Yep.
The Volans.
No, I don't like that.
I don't like that either. I don't know why I said it.
No, please don't ever say that again. That sounds like violins almost. Y'all are the violins playing sad music whenever the umps cheat you out of a game?
No, whenever the other team loses, we play them off with a sad song.
I like it. All right, final predictions from the three of us, and Ross, if he wants to get in. All right, I'm going Arkansas wins, but barely wins in the third game. Like it's a close, maybe it goes 10 or 11 innings, but Arkansas wins.
I have to go game by game. They're playing all of them this weekend?
Yeah. Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah. If necessary.
I think it's going to be 1-1 after this weekend.
1-1 after this weekend.
Tennessee in 3.
Tennessee in 3. There you go. That will do it for us. You guys having a great weekend. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. 3HL's up next. And in the meantime.
And in between time.
Peace.